Hey guys, back again with another video. This is just going to be a short impressions video on a beta that I recently played, and that's the open beta for Tom Clancy's The Division. And you could have played it on I think like PC, PS4. I don't know about Xbox One, but I know at least PC and PS4. And this is a game that I actually had no interest in whatsoever because it's an Ubisoft game, and I don't know, Watch Dogs just kind of really put me off of Ubisoft's games. But you know what? The open beta was coming up, and 2222 here on YouTube, I played the beta with him, and he suggested we give it a shot. And I was like, you know what? It's an open beta. It's free. You know, I'm not paying for it, so why not give it a chance? And I'm glad I did because I actually enjoyed my time with this beta. I think this game is gonna be quite good. Actually, I was kind of shocked. It's not perfect, but it's quite enjoyable, and it does some unique things actually. At its core, it's basically an RPG shooter. I think the game it's most similar to, there's two games basically, Destiny and Borderlands, and this is kind of like a huge type of game now. These big MMO-ish RPG shooters, like these are kind of all the rage these days, I guess. So I guess Ubisoft wants a piece of that pie. And yeah, I haven't put too much time into Destiny. I played the beta of that and didn't enjoy it too much. And Borderlands is okay. It's not one of my favorite series, but I can definitely see the appeal. And this game is pretty interesting. The concept is actually interesting because it's New York City and an outbreak has happened basically, and things are in chaos has ensued in the city, and you're a part of like this task force called the Division, and you have to kind of like set up a base of operations. And that's basically the story they give you. They don't give you the opening of the game in the beta, and it's more story driven than I thought. I thought it was going to be like very MMO like, but there is actually a story that you kind of do, and there's story missions that you do, and you can do them co-op. So that I liked to see. I was glad that there was definitely a story there, and it starts off pretty interesting. I think that's a really cool concept. That New York, that the outbreak has kind of taken the world by storm, and you got to kind of figure out what caused it, and you're a part of this task force. I think it's neat. Hopefully they go to some interesting places with that. Hopefully the story's not shitty. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see until the full game comes out in March. But gameplay wise, it's a third person shooter. It plays really well. It's basically a cover based shooter, so you got to move from cover to cover. You have three different weapons: a secondary weapon, a primary, secondary, and a sidearm. And you can get different skills. And I think at the beginning you get to kind of choose a skill that you want. And if you upgrade your base in three different areas, I think it's like tech, medical, and something else that I can't quite remember at the moment, but if you upgrade your base in these different categories by completing side missions, you can unlock different skills. And in the beginning, my character, you start at level 4 and you get to around, I think it caps at 8 in the beta. And the skills I had, for instance, I had a skill where I could like throw a turret out on the ground, and it's like an automated turret that can shoot enemies. I also had a health power-up, basically, where I could heal myself if I used it, if I just pressed R1 to use it. And you can equip 2 skills at a time, and you can upgrade these skills with mods. The healing one is pretty useful, too, because you could throw it at your teammates, and it would heal them. And health kind of regenerates, but you've got 3 blocks of health, and if you lose 1 block, it's gone for good, unless you use like a med pack or the healing skill to heal your health back up. There is ammo, and there's a lot of loot. It's basically the thrill of this game is finding all the loot, and it's all color coded. The one disappointing thing, I guess, is the fact that the game is like, I can understand why, but basically the game is really realistic, right? Like, it has a really realistic tone, and the gear that you find, at least as far as your appearance goes, like, you only really find jackets and gloves and boots and things like that. So your character, you don't get any cool-looking armor, basically, because it's a realistic game set in a real-world location. So that's, I guess, a little disappointing, but at the same time, I can understand why there's not any weird looking gear. So in that sense, it's not as exciting as some games when you find a new piece of armor or basically a new piece of gear. But finding new weapons is quite exciting in this game because there seems to be a lot of different weapons. But at the same time, they're also based on real-world weapons, too, so you're not going to get like a laser rifle or anything like that. At least, I don't think so. So yeah, you got different loot that can kind of drop off of enemies. There's like kind of boss enemies, and because it's an RPG, you've got damage numbers flying off enemies when you shoot them. And some of the enemies are a little damage spongy, but at the same time, I can understand why it's like that because it is an RPG. And so, yeah, there's also, I think, perks and talents, but the beta, you weren't able to access those with the beta. So it seems like character progression in this game is going to be pretty interesting and fun. But yeah, I think the interesting thing with this game is it's the first game of its type I've seen that's kind of like an RPG shooter, but has like this really realistic tone. I mean, Borderlands, of course, has like a comical sense of humor and has like that cel-shaded art style, where Destiny is, of course, a sci-fi shooter, but this is, real grounded, real life, like a really grounded real life shooter. Tom Clancy, basically. So it's kind of fresh in that way. It doesn't feel like you've played this kind of game before, even though the core gunplay is, you're not doing anything. It's nothing that you haven't seen before, but it plays really well, which is great. It feels good to aim these guns and shoot these guns, and combat is fun. And it's fun, kind of just like going from cover to cover. The co-op is really fun too. I had a lot of fun with co-op. But the really interesting thing, like there's a bunch of side missions you can take on that you can find all over the map, and I think there's like almost infinite side missions that you can do, and you can get like random gear from that. But the really cool thing with this game is what they call the dead zone, and this is the area. This is a locked off part of the city that's like a PvP area, where if you go into this area, people can choose to shoot you if they want to. You'll find just other random people online going throughout this area, and the loot that you find in this area is contaminated. And this is like really good loot. Like some of the best loot in the game are going to be in these dead zone areas. And when you find 6 pieces of loot in this area, you can only carry up to 6. You have to have this loot extracted by chopper to actually keep it and get it sent to your stash. So there's like a mad dash for the chopper, and you kind of have to hold out while the chopper comes and gets you. And you're kind of holding out with other players, and they can choose to go rogue at any time and shoot you. And I think they can steal your loot too. And you can choose to do this as well. And there'll be NPC guys kind of roaming around the city in these areas as well. So there's like this risk-reward system with that. That's, I think, really cool. So I love the dead zone conceptually, and I love it in practice as well. So it's gonna be really interesting to see those areas in the full game, because I think there's gonna be like really high level areas like that. And I think that's where a lot of the end game is gonna be. Now, I actually am probably going to buy this game now. I don't see it being a game that I stick to for years. I don't think it's going to have the longevity that say Destiny has, unless they do a lot of expansions. But I think it will be a fun game to kind of do random side missions, go through the story, and then do some Dead Zone stuff for a little bit. It should at least last me a little while. And March is a month of there's not many new releases in March that I'm interested in. So. Yeah, this is probably going to be the only game I buy in March, and I'm actually glad I played the beta, because yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it. I'm kind of shocked, and it's been a long time since I played a shooter, even though this obviously has a lot of RPG elements. But yeah, that's it, guys. If you've played the beta, what do you think of it? Did you like it? By the time this video is up, the beta is probably not going to be going any longer. But yeah, definitely tell me what you guys thought of it if you did get to give it a shot. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.